That's okay. Yes, let's go.
Okay. Yes. So hi everyone. I'm very excited seeing all of you back here. Some of you are new here, and welcome to the fourth session of the Teacher Talk Time. I'm Aparna and I'll be your moderator for today's session. And as many of you already know, I am the academic director of Thinking, and it's great to be part of my daughter's company. So for a couple of you who are new here, let me give you a brief about TTT. It is an initiative to build a community of teachers in prioritizing, sharing knowledge and CPD, that is continuous professional development. And we meet once a month to interact, engage, clarify any doubts, share experiences we have that could help fellow trainers. Right? So now for our team, first and foremost, I'm happy to say that we have one more new member in our team, Abhishek Vijaykumar. Abhishek is Cambridge Certified English Language Trainer, and he's a very versatile person. He's worked in different fields ranging from IT to content writing to digital marketing and more, all whilst pursuing a passion for stand-up comedy. Welcome on board, Abhishek. So next, we have Nikita, who joined us last October. Her charm and zeal make her young learners look forward to her class. She's so good with her young learners that one of her students created a card for her Teacher's Day. And in spite of knowing that she cannot meet her teacher or send it to her, she made it and took the picture and sent it to Nikita. So that's what our Nikita is. And the main person behind all this who started thinking is Ambika. She loves to explore and bring in something different for the ESL field. In fact, she comes with ideas as she's walking around. TTT being her first innovative idea has taken shape quite well, thanks to all of you for your encouragement and involvement. So once again, welcome and let's get started. So we start off with the workshop by Chitra Velayud on the topic, making online reading lessons interesting. Now, the reason why we chose reading was because this receptive skill, I'm sure many of you would agree, I think is the most challenging and boring when it comes to online teaching. And today's session is going to be completely interactive. So be ready to be participative and ask as many questions as you want. Chitra, you might be interested. So this will be followed by a resource review by Nikita. So without much delay, let me introduce Chitra. Chitra is a CELTA and Delta qualified ENT trainer and IELTS teacher trainer. She's an epitome of resources with 20 plus years of experience as an English teacher and trainer at school and college levels, as well as with corporates. And personally, as a colleague, she has been a great support when it came to discussing lesson plans or material development, be it business English, general English, or IELTS. She's a passionate and committed teacher, and her students have continuously achieved their required scores for IELTS under her training. We're really privileged to have you, Chitra. Thank you so much for agreeing to conduct a workshop for us and contribute to our initiative. We are looking forward to learning plenty from you. So over to Chitra.
Thank you so much, Aparna, for that very glowing introduction. I hope I can live up to those high standards.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much to the entire team for having me. Thanks, Aparna. Like I said, you're my support system, period. That's it. Thanks so much to Ambika in particular for the technical support that she gave me during the session and preparation for the session, as well as amazing suggestions. And again, Nikita, Abhishek, thanks so much for your help. So without any more delay, I think we can start our session. So this will be a highly interactive session, as Aparna just said, so please feel free to share your views, your opinions, and your experiences. So I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know if you can see the PowerPoint. Is the PowerPoint visible to everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's start. It's full screen now, hopefully.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So here's a short overview of our session for today. We'll start by sharing our present practice, what we are doing right now in our online reading sessions. Then we'll discuss some ideas to develop reading skills online, look at some practical tips that will up the interest level. For basically our focus is on adults today, but of course I'm sure that many of the things we are discussing will also apply to young learners. We look at some useful online reading tools for teachers and students, and then get ready to participate in a sample activity. Right? Okay, so lots on our plate. Without any more delay, let's start. Over to you. So I think there's a bunch of really experienced and talented teachers on board today. So let's have your views on online training. First of all, how many of you have taught reading online? Can you please raise your hands by clicking on the raise hand icon? Oh, nice. So I think that's like almost everyone. Radha, Tanya, you've not?
Yes, Kavya. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's like a majority for sure. All right. How would you rate your experience? Those who have taught or are teaching reading online, how would you rate your experience? Can you please share the rating in the chat box on a scale of 1 to 5? In the group chat, please. A lot of threes. What about the others? Okay. Okay. Ah.
Very
Yeah. All right. So, Mary, you've written 4 with prior preparation. Can you just elaborate on that? Why do you think preparation is so important?
Yeah, so I have done a lot of reading with my IELTS master classes. When we teach them about IELTS reading, so I send them the reading the day before, and they read and come, and then we discuss the answers. But of course, even if there is a reading that is done in class with young learners, I send it in the chat box personally to each person, jigsaw reading, and then they redo it. Of course, all that we do in class can be done online also. That is what I have understood. So you just, if it is a jigsaw reading, you just have to send it personally to each person. But again, they should know how to open it and things like. You won't be able to do this right in the first week of class. Maybe once they're okay with the Zoom and how they open things, where to find it once they download the document. If they know all that, then it will be really good. So maybe reading classes after 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks at least, into the second week.
Thank you so much. So some prior preparation, planning, training is required to make reading classes a success. Very true. Thank you so much, Mary. And anyone who's had a particularly negative experience with online reading, if you're ready to share, please go ahead. Just unmute your mic and.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I don't know if this counts, but just things not working. For example, the tech not working when you need it to. So either they can't see the text, or like Mary said, they don't know how to open it. And you've got one person who's sitting there going, I don't know where it is, and everyone else has finished reading, and that kind of thing has happened at the beginning when we first went online. So I think that's something I struggled with.
And technology is something we really have no control over. So we just have to pray, pray very hard and hope everything works out. But yeah, initially, I guess there will be some problems, some glitches that we have to encounter. Yeah. Okay, great. But overall, it seems to be a kind of moderate experience for most of you, right? 3 or 4. Thanks so much for sharing. So hope it gets better after the session. Hope, it gets more like 4 or 5-ish. after this session. So I think the majority of you have taught online, and I'm guessing at least some of you have also taught face-to-face classes.
Yeah.
There are a couple of freshers as well, which is great, which is a good mix. So let's have a group discussion on this. Let's share our views, our opinions, our experiences with our group. So you'll be going into your breakout rooms right now. Please take a screenshot of the question or write down the question. What are the main differences that you have experienced or that you can think of between a virtual classroom and a face-to-face reading classroom? Reading lesson, obviously, focuses on reading. 5 minutes for the discussion. Before you start, please choose a spokesperson to note down the main points. All right. So let's have Ambika. Ambika, what are you supposed to do during the discussion?
So we're supposed to have a small discussion on whether, about online reading activities and your real-time reading activities, and choose a spokesperson.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Okay, so off to our breakout rooms, which I cannot see at this point of time.
You might need to assign. Do you want me to assign? Shall I?
I don't have breakout rooms as an option here, but because now I've shared.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me do it then.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Any specific number you'd like me to put in the rooms, Chitra? 3 groups or 2?
Participants, thank you so much. Yeah, 3 in a group.
Okay, there might be 2 groups with 4, but I think that should be okay.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, it's just us now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Oh.
will. Yeah. So what I'll do is I think it's probably because you are the co-host. Let me try and make you the host.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know I could see it earlier.
Okay.
I could see it earlier before I shared the screen. But now that I've shared the screen, there's no such option.
Okay. So just stop share, Auntie.
Okay.
Can you see now?
Now I can see.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So I've made you the co-host. I'm just going into the room probably with the least. So that's Mum, Mary, and Radha.
Okay, so how do I, earlier I had the option of joining the break. Okay, I just click on breakout rooms and I can.
No, I think, hold on. I have to.
No, I can see it now. I can join. I can join.
Okay,
now.
you can join room 1. Can you join any other rooms as well?
Yeah, I can see room 1, 2, and 3.
But near the 2 and 3, are there join options?
Join options. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, then I'll go into the one.
So I can join and then I can leave, I guess, right? There's a leave option also.
Yeah, must be. Yeah. So I'll go into room 3 then.
Okay.
I know my level, like the right kind of text. How do I know? So to suggest them also to know, then that was difficult. I just gave them a thing that you can read and see if most of the words you don't understand and you need a dictionary. Maybe that's not the right level for you. But again, it wasn't a good suggestion because I was doubtful and I'm still doubtful myself. Like selecting the right material is still a challenge for me for reading skills.
On what basis do you select your materials?
For instance, when I see an adult, like I have a material, three materials. I research online and whatever is suggested by Cambridge or Oxford, I put that up as one paragraph each, and I ask them to read. If they're able to read properly and if they understand the meaning, it's too easy for them, then I think it's for the beginner level. That's what I understood. Sorry.
No. So see, it's
And
perfectly
if
fine.
it's too
Okay,
difficult,
we might be deviating from what we have to discuss. But I'll just quickly tell you that, see, maybe do a needs analysis before you do any class. That will actually help you choose materials better. Okay, the focus is reading lesson in a virtual class and a face-to-face class. Now, me being a green person, I really like virtual classrooms because I don't have to print anything.
Correct. That's so true.
Yeah, that
Yes,
that is
correct.
one big advantage of a virtual classroom. And
Virtual class, correct.
yeah,
That part I would really agree with Mary as well. But I find face-to-face more fun to really do a reading lesson.
yes, yeah. See, but even online, no, you can actually do a lot of fun activities with reading, where you can give them maybe reading in parts, then ask them to come and maybe read in the breakout rooms. Then you reshuffle them into one group where there's one from every paragraph together in the
Then
breakout
we
room,
bring in
a
the
different breakout room.
yeah.
You know, and it's so exciting for them to share their part of their reading.
Correct,
So
correct.
it depends on how you, yeah. Okay, what about the others? I need not.
Yeah,
What
for
about
me,
you?
the problem is I'm actually teaching only one-to-one. So there is no sharing there.
Okay.
So that is actually a problem. I have a beginner level student.
Oh, okay, okay.
And she reads beautifully with the
Very
correct
nice.
pronunciation, everything, but she doesn't understand a word.
Okay.
So,
okay. So maybe she has learned to read things phonetically.
So she reads and then I ask her to explain it. Only quarter of what she has read she's able to tell, and that she tells in Tamil. So
okay.
It's a very beginner level, not even the elementary. Just the beginner level.
Okay.
But the way she reads, it looks as though she's a pre-ent or even pre-ent plus.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So that is
what is the cultural background?
She's from a village. She's from a village, Tamil Nadu village.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's from
no, not Kumbakonam. She's from.
See, it's also goes with the exposure they have
exactly.
had. No?
She doesn't have enough exposure.
Exactly. Yeah. So when they don't have enough exposure to the language,
I feel bad
shows,
for her.
Yeah.
But she's a very keen learner.
Oh, okay.
So you
That's
teach her
really
something, and ask her to talk about her village, giving her the questions, she'll answer them, and she'll tell that as a paragraph and record it. That
nice.
is good.
Okay.
But in reading, that is the problem. But in probably in a face-to-face class, I think when you have a couple of
well, can I interrupt? Rather, you will have to tell the group about what we have discussed. Okay.
You
just say in few words whatever we have discussed.
Whatever we discussed.
You can. You can.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our all-time quotes.
Yeah. Face-to-face class, I always find there is a lot more interaction and fun. And you can move people around.
Yeah. See, another thing with the face-to-face and virtual classroom, you know, when you give them a paper, they actually hide what they have and they try to tell things. Okay.
Yes.
But in a virtual room, you know, they might just share the screen at once and get the other person to read it also. Yeah. That also happens. So when you're giving instructions, you might have to repeat again and again once you shuffle them, reshuffle them, not to share screen. Or maybe you should disable that option. In the main room, disable that option and then send them to the breakout rooms, because later on, that is what I understood.
Okay.
You shouldn't allow that share screen option.
I think this is something I will take, because I had this problem with the group class which I'm doing currently. Exact same problem.
Yeah. So whenever you want them to share, enable the share screen. When you don't want them to share, disable it. And you know, sometimes even when you tell them, they do it. So make sure you disable it.
Yes.
That works out.
When you ask them to read, like you were saying, that paragraph, and when they say, so it's like speaking practice for them as well, right? What they understood.
No. See, any read.
Okay, there's one group which is having a really
we finished now.
Really nice. Whatever I heard, they're going on really well, and time to speak. I hope so. Okay, shall we start?
Sure.
Are we all here? Is everyone back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, spokesperson, room 1.
It's me, I think.
Yeah.
So some of the things we talked about was how you can have more creativity with activities, reading activities in face-to-face class, where online is pretty restricted when it comes to that. But on the other hand, like when it comes to IELTS, if there are less number of students, I usually tell them to underline or highlight where they find the answer. So you sort of can see in real time how they're finding out the answer. So you can understand like this is the problem. This is why they're not finding the answer. Yeah. So I can change lessons or say something based on that. And another thing we talked about was planning. Our online requires a lot more planning than regular face-to-face classes. Especially with editing and whatnot. Those are the things.
You have to put yourself in the shoes of the student. How will they? How will they be? Perceiving the whole thing.
Yeah.
I came into your room and you're discussing problems. So I'm glad that you came up, talked about solutions as well. Good. Thank you so much. Spokesperson, room 2.
Were we room 2? I don't know which room.
Yeah, I think Kavya, because we were room 3.
Okay.
We were room 2.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you to write down your room number as well.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, so I think most of the points were same. We all agreed that both face-to-face and online classroom teaching can do the same thing. However, the problems are of comprehension when it's an online classroom. Do we know whether the students have understood? Because we can't sense body cues, we can't sense their facial expressions, because in most of our classrooms, our students have their videos and audio switched off. So that's that. And also with an offline setup, there are certain activities that we can do when there's inactivity or when they're not comprehending in class. So that's what we agreed on. However, Sita did mention something, saying that there are a lot of tools that one can use in an online setup while teaching reading. For example, a website like Padlet or Jigsaw to make it a lot more interesting. And we may never use that in an offline setup. So yeah, that's what we discussed.
Technical tools, technological tools that will come to our aid.
Yeah.
In an online. Thank you so much, Kavya.
Thank you.
Room 3. Now don't say I don't know who's the
Radha is it?
Radha. Go ahead.
Radha, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, so we discussed that in an online classroom, there is no need to print the material, which is like a big time saver for teachers. And in an offline classroom, of course, like others discussed, we have the liberty to make the class interesting with more activities, and the students can move around, use the space. So that is there. And in online, again, we have the option of creating breakout rooms for activities and reshuffling them, but we need to be careful that we disable the share screen option, so that if you want someone to read one part of it and the other one, and then they come and they share different kinds of activities, so that option is there in online. Yes. And choosing the right material is equally important. And yes, and then we were discussing about the students who can read fluently, but they can't understand what they read. So yes, if I missed out something.
No, so you haven't missed out.
Yeah,
that was great. That was great. There were 3 rooms, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add? Because I want this to be more of a general discussion based on your experience.
I have something to add. I don't know whether this is reading specific, but I find it very difficult to do differentiation online with my students. It's much more easier to do it offline. For instance, if there are 2 students of like 2 different levels, I'm able to cater to both of them offline, but I find it really difficult to do that online. And I'm just, yeah.
That's very true. That's very true. Probably making different resources or putting them in appropriate groups, maybe grouping them appropriately, that becomes much easier in an offline classroom. Again, I think more planning and preparation could be required for an online session with in a mixed level classroom, or in a class where you have different types of students. Yeah. Personalization, customization, it becomes more difficult. And as you said, a differentiation. Okay, thank you so much. Anything else from your experiences?
Adding on to this, online classes also need more learner training, I think. If we are doing something just to teach the reading skill, it would really need, they would really need some time to, get used to the online discussion formats, or even if we are using tools or breakout rooms, a lot of them take time to, get comfortable with the whole online reading scenario.
Especially if you're using specific tools for reading.
Yes.
Like the Padlet, which we mentioned earlier, things like that. We need to train ourselves first. And then
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for sharing. Let's move on. I think we've learned a lot from our discussions, and this is what I wanted to make it more interactive and a more of sharing session. So let's move on. Again, it's over to you. So here are 5 things we can do during online sessions. Of course, these are things we do in offline sessions as well. But in an online session, since our focus today is an online reading session, question is, which of these would you do online? Which of these would you do preferentially, which prefer to do online? Can you please write the numbers in the chat box? Only the numbers, you don't have to write the whole sentence. Okay, interesting. 2 of you have written all 5. I think only Ambika and Abhishek have written all 5. So Ambika, why?
I haven't written all 5. I said 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. My maybe got pushed to the next. Yeah.
I wrote all 5.
Yes. Yeah, that's just mom.
Yeah. Sorry. I think I got mixed up between
For the names.
Get mixed up all the time between. Yeah. Only the names, okay. So, which of these would you prefer to do in an online class? I agree that we can do all 5 in both, but
all 5 in the online class also.
Online class, but which would you prefer? Or does it depend on anything? Your preference?
Depends on the level of the students. Definitely depends on the students. For example, making the students read the whole passage, I would definitely, because it's an online thing, I wouldn't be giving a huge passage. The rest should be just a paragraph or 2 maximum. And sending the material, reading material before class, if it is a longer passage.
Right.
And if I want them to come up with some answers for some points from the reading in class, I would send it earlier so that they can have it with them when they're doing the class. Pre-teach vocab is a definite mandatory thing that you should do with all levels of it. Because based on the level you have the material, and in the material there are surely 3 or 4 words which they can't understand. That shouldn't hinder their interest of reading or understanding the lesson. And visuals probably for the beginner level and the elementary level. It helps a lot in getting them to understand the words. Instead of pre-teach vocab, you just give the pictures and the words. And of course, authentic material for reading text is very important. So,
thank you so much.
It's all for online, yes.
Yeah. So basically, you said that it depends on the level of the students.
Yes.
That would, and probably the purpose for which you are teaching that
Yes,
particular
yes.
lesson? What is the reading skill, the sub-skill that you're focusing on in that particular lesson? Okay. I think
I have a small doubt here that I've always had, like when, especially when I'm teaching IELTS. So the second one, sending them the reading material before class, I have done it, but not like very often. How effective would that be? Because I'm also teaching them how to skim. I'm teaching them the timing in the class. So sending it prior, is it actually a better thing to do, or getting them to read in class? What would you recommend? Because this is something I always have a confusion about. What do I do about this?
if you ask me as an IELTS trainer, I don't send for IELTS students. I do not send them the material before, because as you said, the purpose would be defeated. And on any kind of reading practice for IELTS students should be done on a time basis.
Yeah.
Done in exam conditions. So even if I do send them something, I tell them that you have to do it, within the time and in exam conditions as far as possible in a quiet environment. Otherwise, it doesn't become a standard test.
Yeah.
So if you can do an IELTS reading passage in say, or reading test in say 1.5 hours and get 40 on 40, that doesn't make sense because it's not a standard test.
Got it.
Can I add a point here? Yes. What I used to do with the IELTS students is just an hour before the class, I used to send a mail to them saying, this is the text for the class, please open it in class. So they download it and open it in class and keep it while I'm doing the lesson.
Yeah, I do that sometimes with strict instructions not to look at it. So I don't know if
just an hour before the class I send
that. Yeah, just
and ask them to download it later.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
See, when you're practicing the skills, like skimming and scanning, you need to do it in class. You're going to do shorter passages. Yes. But after that, when you're giving them the test practice, of course, you need to tell them it should be time bound. Make sure that you're truthful to yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Do it. That's all. So maybe give them one section, tell them, okay, make sure that you spend only 20 minutes. Or even if you're giving all the sections, tell them it should be within an hour. Not more than that. Sometimes what I do is I send them an email and I tell them well ahead, I'm going to send it by 4 o'clock. So 5, you're going to send me the answers, the picture of your answers. So that also works. But take it as it goes, as your class can do it.
Yeah. Cool.
I had one thing to add. In spoken English class, I tried this in one-on-one session. So when I gave them like pre-teach difficult vocabulary and I gave them the reading material, this was for he was in between intermediate to hard level, this particular student was, and we had finished quite a few lessons catering to reading material. So I just wanted to know where he stands. So I sent him the reading material and I did a flip class that way. Like he was the teacher and I was the student. So I had a mixed kind of experience. Like some parts, I didn't expect that he would be really good, but on some occasions, he was not able to understand the material at all. So can we use flip class in this situation when we want to develop reading skills by giving the material before the class?
Class, I have not done a flip class personally for a reading lesson. What we can do is in a group class, maybe we can divide them into groups with different reading text, and they make questions for the other groups. One group makes a set of questions, quiz questions or comprehension questions for the other group.
Okay.
So that's interesting for them because they are doing the skimming, the scanning, the detailed reading, the intensive reading. They're analyzing the text in their own way and working together collaboratively to create something for the others based on the text. Flipped classroom, I've not done for a reading lesson. Does anyone have any experience with that? Not really.
Not for reading, but can I just add something to what you said, Chitra? I think when you're doing something like that, like asking them to write questions for the other half of the class, that's maybe something you can send to them before class, because then what they're actually reading in the class is the other text. So they're still getting that real life sort of on the spot reading experience, but they also have had time to read something within the context and think about questions and maybe prepare for answers that they're going to see from the other one. So that's a nice idea. So I'm just thinking aloud that might be something I do. Otherwise, I'm not a fan of sending reading material before class because
they
I want
can
them to
read
read.
earlier and prepare questions, and then just otherwise it'll decrease the confusion in the groups, like in the online breakout rooms, etc. They can just share the questions with each other. Yeah, nice. Okay, any other newer? Nikita, Abhishek, anything you'd want to contribute?
I have only done online reading. I've never done an offline class, but I think that 3 and 4 is something that I do irrespective of what level, what material, whatever it is. I always pre-teach and use a lot of visuals, especially because the students that I'm currently teaching are little bit on the young learners to teens, so they respond very well to pictures and visual stimulation. They get excited, they're curious. In fact, yesterday I did a lesson. It wasn't reading, but I did use a picture to sort of spark a conversation. It was 2 people arguing, and there were flowers and like chocolates on the floor of where they were arguing. And in fact, Abhishek was observing this class, so he knows what I'm talking about. So she had to sort of tell me what's going on in the picture, like explain it to me. And she came up with this wild story about how, and so I think the picture, is from the English file, it has some of those like, reddish tinges, some of the photos. So they had like, red here and there. So she came up with this wild story about how some people came to beat up the girl, and then this guy was supposed to protect her, but then he ended up getting beaten up himself. And then he asked her to marry him, but she said no because he's not strong enough. So, it really sparked so much thought and conversation in the students.
So it's like a thriller come romance come.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, but it was really fun.
Nice, very stimulating, I think.
Yeah.
And it takes well, reading is not boring at all, but there is this impression that, oh no, reading lesson.
Yeah.
It takes that feeling out of reading, and like you said, it sparks their interest and creativity. So
Yeah.
I think those are very important. Thanks a lot. Yes, Abhishek.
For me, like I said before, my only experiences from the CELTA classes. I mean, the number 5 point is something I really want to try personally, using authentic text, because during the CELTA we made to use the English file. And in terms of using visuals, we used a little bit of visuals for both the pre-int and the upper-int levels, because it broke the mundaneness. If you have like a screen with just a whole lot of text in it, it's going to look like a huge task to go through the entire text. But having a small image or something, it breaks the boredom, like of it just being a plain text representation.
Wordy.
Yeah.
If I may. So. Yeah, right. Okay, so but when you're using authentic material, I think the thing to keep in mind is adapting for your level and for your student. I think that's the challenge.
And the pre-teaching lectures on the authentic text.
Yeah. So authentic text will have authentic and very updated language, which is valuable for them. English as it's being used, spoken and written in the present. So I think that's valuable.
I had a question, like when we use authentic reading material, especially for students who are not that motivated to read, but they say that they want to develop reading skills. So instead of from books, can we use like lyrics of songs and all these things initially, at least, to develop their interest? I mean,
yeah. So I see Sita nodding there. So songs, what do you say, Sita?
Yes, I think so. I think the fun part of using authentic material is that you can link it as much as possible to your learners and what they're interested in. So it might be a song that they're listening to. It might be an article from a magazine or something, as long as you've checked the language before and you know that the language is appropriate for that level and doesn't have grammatical errors and things like that. So yeah, I'd say you can use songs, but think about what tasks you're going to do for that song. It's not just about singing along with the song or something. They have to get, yeah, they have to get some reading out of it. And it doesn't, obviously, you very rarely read a song in real life unless you want to practice it for some romantic engagement. But so you have to like help them understand why it's relevant to their real life.
Thanks a lot, guys. Let's continue, move on. So here are some, yeah, I think a lot of these we've already discussed, how we can develop reading skills online. But first you need to match the sentence halves. As you match, you can read out. Number one, I mean, feel free, please unmute yourselves and read out the whole sentence.
E for the first one?
Correct. Which is H?
Students. First one, engage with students and the context of the text. No.
No, Sita's answer is correct.
Yeah.
Number two.
What is the answer for the first one again?
There is an answer key, no worries.
Okay.
Is to C, check their prior knowledge about the topic and the target language.
Two is B.
Oh, B. Okay.
Isn't that what you said?
I said C.
Oh, okay.
C.
C. Sorry. Okay. It is C. Sorry.
I think 3 is C.
3 is H.
3 is, yeah, absolutely. 3 is H. Good.
4 is B. Pre-teach vocabulary using visuals, activities, or games.
Yeah, right.
5 is F.
5 is F. Yeah, absolutely. 5F.
6 is A.
6 is A.
That's right.
7G.
Yeah. Oh no, they're together. Is this the answer key?
No, only that one's together. Keeps us on our toes, Chitra.
And I guess that's it, right? It's done.
8D.
8.
8 is D.
8 is D.
There should be an on, I think.
On, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mistake. So here's the answer key in short and in detail. So I think we've already discussed most of these points, right? Yeah, last one, I think we were talking about it, but planning for the lesson, depending on the reading sub-skill, whether you're skimming or scanning or intensive reading or detailed reading, that will decide how you're planning for your reading lesson. And of course, the age of the learners and the purpose for which they're studying English. Is it an exam class? Is it a general English class? Okay, sorry, I haven't been reading your messages. Let me take a look. So some more tips. The beautiful pictures are thanks to Ambika. Thank you, Ambika. These are from her lessons. And I think we discussed this earlier, pictures and text, so that it makes it more interesting for learners. First point we already discussed about importance of visuals. Second point is a good idea, don't you think? Splitting up the text into different slides. And I was just thinking maybe we can even use a split screen. It's not there on the slide. You can use what do you call it? Multiple screens, right? You call it multiple screens. So with the text on one side and questions on the other. That's very useful for IELTS candidates. Because I think online, their computer-based IELTS is that way. That's how they have their reading test. So that's available on Zoom. You can use that. And you can, again, to provide more support and scaffolding, you can even provide them with the slide and line number to facilitate and, just to keep them motivated for weaker students or for young learners. Absolutely. Just 2 more tips. No more tips from my side. Okay? I don't want to burden you with so many tips. So yeah, the first one I couldn't resist because this is something I use a lot on a daily basis. Tanya and Radha are witness to this. So the annotate feature to focus on particular language points. I like using this shading and, all this is really nice. And it just helps in a longer reading text. It helps to highlight and focus on particular language items. So I use those things a lot. Spotlight, it's nice to help them as they're reading, to help them along. And dictionaries too. So I keep the Cambridge dictionary. I'm one of the greatest, what can I say, patrons of Cambridge, I guess. So I just keep the dictionary open on my system all the time. Yeah, they're lucky. They don't even have to pay me for that. So, and then I keep, encourage whenever they ask me the meaning of a word, which happens often. So I just take them to Cambridge Dictionary. So shall I share? I guess I didn't have to share it, right? What do you say, Ambika? Should I share screen? Or I guess
I think all of us are familiar. If that's fine.
With the online dictionary and Oxford online.
I too have had that dictionary open since January.
Good.
It's still open on my browser.
I hope you use it too.
Yes, I use it daily.
All right, good. So, so Google, obviously Google is not a good substitute because Google just gives you what you want, as they say. So it might give you substandard, answers and wrong answers, misleading material, etc. So always better to use the standard websites and dictionaries. Any contributions from your side? Anything any of you want to share?
Just that, sorry, I've interrupted somebody. Just that you mentioned Google, but I think we have to tell students, go use this because most students will just Google a word and read the first thing that pops up, which is, like you said, usually wrong or not relevant to the context. So.
Yeah, so I heartily recommend Cambridge Dictionary, British Council, BBC. I heartily recommend all these things. I don't know how many people actually use it, how many students actually end up using it, but yeah, we have to tell them because probably they don't know that Google is not the best idea.
Even for teachers, I feel sometimes, a simple thing like a hyphenated word or a non-hyphenated word can cause a lot of confusion or a pronunciation of some word somewhere. And I mean, while writing content, I've seen that a lot of times that, you just write something and then you think, okay, let me just check that. And then you realize, oh, that wasn't a hyphenated word or that was supposed to be one. So I think falling back on a dictionary, even though online now is a habit, we should all inculcate.
Absolutely. Especially writing content and looking for synonyms. When you're writing content, you're looking for synonyms or checking the level, the level of a word, is it appropriate for our learners? Yeah, so Cambridge has the last word. Thank you, Cambridge. All right, so now it's time for some fun. So you're all learners in an intermediate classroom. Please have a look at the instructions while I share the text with you in the chat box. you have please take a screenshot of the instructions. So I guess you see my desktop when I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, there's nothing. Oops, I can't share this. Reading test cannot be sent because it's currently in use. Oh, okay, fine.
You need to close the file before you can send it out.
I think I need to close the file. So for that, I have to stop share for a minute. So please. Yeah, I wasn't aware of this. Sorry for the delay.
No, half the time I discover things on Zoom because my students tell me it's there.
I get my Zoom tutoring mainly from a 9-year-old. So he tells me how to use lipstick, and one day he actually came up with this idea, ma'am, you don't have to even dress up. You can just like use filters and have your eyebrows done and your lipstick done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a learning for me too. Like, shouldn't look end up looking funny, right?
Lipstick on eyes.
Yeah, I know. So I hope you got the text. Please download it in your system so that you can look through it in your breakout rooms. I'm also opening it on my screen. I guess you can see the document opening.
We are seeing the folder.
I kept it open.
We're seeing your desktop.
Yeah, the document is just opening on the screen. Meanwhile, you can open it on your system and look through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
To save time. Yeah, now I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aparna. Thanks, Ambika.
Yeah.
For the tip. All right, can you see it on my screen, the document?
Yes.
Okay, so you will be working in pairs for this activity and your intermediate students. First, you have to decide who is A and who's B. Okay, and then read only that particular text. So these are the things you need to do. There are two texts. As you can see, this is the text for student A and familiar face. So obviously in the classroom, you would do a lead-in with these, pictures of these film stars, etc. I'm just jumping right into the activity. And this is the text for student B. So I think the instructions are pretty clear. Read the text and, well, the questions will help you to sort of make a summary of the material. Then share the information with your partner. No cheating, please. And then find one multi-word verb, what we call a phrasal verb, basically. And make a sentence. You can use online Cambridge Dictionary, of course, you have to use it. And make a sentence with it with your partner. So it will be pair work. All right.
Yeah.
Nikita, can you tell us what we are supposed to do?
So you have to work in pairs. One person is student A and one person is student B. You read your respective passages and then answer the questions, ask each other the questions or answer the questions. I'm glad you questioned me. I'm a little...
Just give a summary to each other.
Oh, sorry. Give summary to each other. My bad. And then you have to find one phrasal verb from the passage and then make a sentence.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That was very clear. Thanks a lot, Nikita. And so off to your breakout rooms, you'll be working with the partner. Off you go. And you have 5 minutes as usual for this activity. Okay, I think they've all joined.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Because it's the two of us, then let them finish the activity and then come back here. That would be better. Yeah.
I'd like to get more practice with these breakout rooms,
Yeah.
But I don't have the opportunity at this time because I'm not using a paid version of Zoom, number one. And
probably because of that. Because now we've used, because of the thinking thing, we've got the paid version. Probably even that. Yeah.
So on Nguru, we don't have breakout rooms. That's not an option.
Okay.
Use a regular version 50-minute thing, and my classes are all one-on-one.
Okay, then it's okay.
Yeah, mostly IELTS. Whatever one-on-one classes I'm taking, most of them are IELTS, other than Nguru.
Right. That's interesting.
Shall we go around and see what they're doing?
Sure.
Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Actually, the fourth room is just because you and I are there. So there are only 5 rooms. The 4 doesn't. Let me see if I can delete it. I'm not able to delete the room.
Oh, that's okay. Leave it now.
Yeah.
It's okay. So I'll go to 1 and 2.
Okay.
And you can go to 5 and 6.
3 and 5 and 6.
Oh, there are. Okay, I'll go to 1, 3. I'll go to 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Sure. I'm moving to 5 now.
Him. He used to watch them and learn from them. So though he never really went ahead and spoke to them or told them anything about it, he feels that they have taught him a lot about acting. So I think he was a bit nostalgic.
I think there's a similar story for her. I mean, in that it's a nostalgic moment and something she learned, a moment she learned from. So she talks about a critic who commented on her first.
Hey, Sanjana.
Hi, I wasn't allocated a room.
Yeah, I know. 1 second.
Yeah.
I think at that time, did you get cut off? Because
yes, I got cut off. Yes, I got cut off.
In the room where Aparna is there, so it will be, you can help. She'll help you out.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Sanjana, you're not in any other rooms?
I just put her in the room. Yeah, I just helped her with the room now.
Okay.
Yeah.
She believes her work is, her hard work is paying off and that she's successful. So, yeah.
I think we have to make sentences also, right?
You have to find the phrasal verb. The one in mine is put up.
Mine is, I think, turn up. I have 2 actually, meet up and turn up.
Oh, yeah. You can choose any one, I guess. You also have hang around. That's also a phrase.
Hang around. Yes.
Yeah.
I think we look for the meaning in the dictionary. Just like students. So should we tell the sentences to each other or share it there?
I think we have to make ones together, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hi, Ambi, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going fine. I think they've spotted more than 2, 3 phrasal verbs.
Okay. Some of them are still recounting the stories.
Oh.
I think they're really getting involved in those stories.
That's nice. I was just reading the story. Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually, I've taken them from like interviews and
yeah.
Stuff.
So yeah, definitely. I think Radha wanted to do a lot of authentic text, but she was really struggling with how to go about it. That's what she was discussing in the first breakout room that we had. She was saying the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. So shall we wind up, or do you think we should give them 1 more minute?
No, you can close now because then they'll have a minute more.
We'll have 1 more minute.
Yeah.
bit late, right? I told you I have this problem.
No, no, it's okay. We're almost at the end, so it's okay.
Oh, there's a full minute left.
No, 36 seconds.
36. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't see the countdown. I can't see the countdown this time.
Okay, it's there.
Now I can. Now I can. Yeah. Earlier I couldn't. So welcome back. How was the activity? How did you find it?
Pretty good.
Kavya.
Sorry.
Would you use this? Would you use this in a class, or if you did, what changes would you suggest? What would you leave as it is and what changes for an online class? Anyone?
Sorry, Chitra, I missed the question.
Yeah,
What's
me
the
too.
question?
Sorry, if you use this, would you use this in a class, number one? And if you did, obviously, then the next question is, would you use the same activity, or would you change it or tweak it a bit for an online class?
I think I would use it.
I think you'd use it the same thing.
As it, yeah.
Okay, I would make it into two different documents. One for the A and one for B, because
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so that you know, I don't get to read what the other person has read, because I'll definitely read it off. If I get a chance, I'll definitely read. Okay, so I'm sure my learners would also do that.
I shared both so that if you want, you can use it. I shared both with you because as teachers,
and also then the other things are about the level, how much exposure they've had to the language and things. Depending on that, would think of adapting the material.
And maybe the
higher level. Sorry.
I don't like Shah Rukh Khan very much, so maybe just the choice after.
So the target language here is phrasal verbs. Actually, it was, as you must have guessed, right? And another thing that we discussed when we were going over the lesson earlier, and Ambika suggested this, that of course we would give the instructions in 2 stages. That's why there's a dotted line in the middle. If you're using with our students, we probably give the first set of 1 to 4 first.
Yeah.
And after they've shared the summary and maybe some feedback and all that, then we'd go on to 5 and 6, the language part of it.
Yeah.
With maybe another introduction. Short introduction.
We can also maybe, if we can use visuals for a particular phrasal verb.
Always.
Medium level. So for them, so after reading the paragraph, if they're not able to locate maybe a visual to guess the phrasal verb.
Absolutely. Because phrasal verbs can be very confusing in terms of meaning, especially.
Can I add something, Chitra? Something that I liked about this activity is the phrasal verb bit. It got Tanya and I into quite a deep and very interesting discussion just by trying to use one of the phrasal verbs. So I think that was really nice.
Okay. So would you like to share your sentences in the chat box? Because I think those of you who put in the time, effort, and the energy into making sentences. I mean, completely, up to you. But please do share so we can see your sentences. All right. So while you do that, let's move on to some other reading activities. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. So the one we just did was a kind of an information gap activity. We can also do things like jigsaw reading, matching, completing a story. So those, of course, they can be used either in offline or in online sessions. But the last 3 especially lend themselves more to an online class, I think. Doing research on the spot and making a presentation, quizzes where they have to find answers online, and an online reading race. So this I started, actually I observed another lesson and started doing this in group classes where you can actually make groups on WhatsApp. So using social media as well. And then you can either give them the same task to do. Phrasal verbs, you can give them different phrasal verbs. You can ask them phrasal verbs or any kind of vocabulary actually. Try to get them to, can you express the meaning through videos or through pictures, through photos, or something like that. Very interesting. So you can do this on, actually you can include social media and all this as well in a reading race online. Any other activities that any of you do online which you'd like to share? Reading activities?
Maybe using some, I don't think I've done this for reading, but maybe using something like a Kahoot or a Quizlet thing, so that there's a little bit of competition and a little bit of excitement. So they finish reading the text and then they answer the questions through that mode rather than just typing or writing.
Yeah, using those tools, it makes them all excited and literally jumping, especially the younger ones.
As long as, like Tanya said earlier, you've done the learner training and they know what, you spend the lesson teaching them how to press the square and the triangle.
Nice sentences. Thanks for sharing. Sita, has your sister seen this? I guess not.
You're not telling her about this. She just bought me donuts yesterday, so I'm not going to say.
She's such a sweetheart.
What lies? You have to live with her to know that that's not.
Come on. She's such a sweet person.
Fine, some of the time.
Siblings are siblings, right?
True that.
Meet to everyone else, but
I love her to death, but I want to kill her a lot of the time.
Yeah, nice. Thanks so much. So on to the last slide. Some online reading tools. Some you already mentioned, like Kahoot. And which was the other one you mentioned, Sita? Quizlet, Padlet, all those things. Yeah, those are tools we can use for various activities. I mean, language lessons, but reading included, of course. So most of these are specifically for reading and writing, I guess. So Q prompter, very interesting. It's a free teleprompter. Any of you who used Q prompter? Okay, so it's in, yeah, Radha does. Okay.
Mary.
I haven't.
It's good to teach skimming and scanning.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that Mary? Sorry, I can't see. Yeah.
It's good to teach skimming and scanning.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's for. So I think, Ambika, you have Q prompter open on your system.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, please do. Please go ahead.
Can you see my screen now?
Not yet. I guess I have to stop sharing, right? First.
You don't need to. You don't need to.
I think we can do it.
People can just go up to the top of your screen and you can select which shared screen you want to view.
Oh, okay.
Can you?
Yes.
Two options.
Yeah, they can see it now.
Time being, okay.
Yes.
So
I think
you can see it.
So this one, I've just put in a text here. So we put the text here and say, you can set your speed, your color. So I put white text back because that's just easier for me. And it starts here. So you have various speeds as well. So when I saw this first, I became over ambitious and wanted to try 8. So you always want to challenge and say, oh, 8 is not going to be that difficult, but no.
The background and the moving text gives a very Star Wars effect to it.
That's Q prompter. Yes.
In a galaxy far, far away.
I've used this for making.
Good question.
Sorry.
That can you use them in both on the laptop? And I think so. but you'll have to try because I haven't used them on the mobile.
Generally the apps generally have like limited variations when it's on a mobile phone when compared to that of a system. Even Zoom, for example, the options are much more limited on your mobile when compared to a desktop system or a laptop mostly.
Probably you have the, the functionalities working better on your laptop.
So not for me. So most of our students would be using a mobile phone.
True.
So yeah, just
For us, I think
but
you.
then, if you're sharing screen from your laptop,
and it's not a problem.
Yeah,
We are
exactly.
sharing our screen.
So then it shouldn't be a
that wouldn't affect that.
Oh.
Rewordify is, well, it does what it says on the slide.
I think this would help Radha. Radha was asking a question in our first breakout room about this, about the level of the text, how to understand.
So again, it looks very like the Q prompter. Please go ahead. It's very easy to use, Rewordify. You just copy paste the text and then you click on Rewordify. So then it completely simplifies the entire text for you. Any difficult word, do you want to see how it works, Ambika? Or should I?
Yeah, I'll try 1 second. I
All
haven't
right,
kept the screen on.
I think I have reworded this thing open on.
Can I ask a question about this one? I've never used it, but
yes, please.
Does it rewordify appropriately? Like often synonyms or something are not okay for that context.
It gives us meanings of words. It doesn't rewrite the text for us. Okay.
Okay. Good, because that's what I thought. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why it's good to see how it works. I think Ambika's working on that.
Okay.
I'll stop share.
Yeah. So I've pasted the same text here and then said rewordify.
Yeah, scroll up, Ambika, scroll up. No, it's above.
Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, here. Okay, fine. Yeah.
So Sita, have a look. That's how it rewordifys.
So this is the text.
The difficult words, it's sort of highlighted parts are the difficult words. And if you just bring your cursor there, Ambika, you can see you get the meanings. You do get synonyms. You can hear. Yeah.
I'm very excited now. Okay, thank you.
It's interesting.
Yeah, this is and it's a completely free resource. Okay, both of them.
Okay. I have a salsa coming up. My trainees are going to be scared.
Free resources. It's a boon for English teachers. It's again. So you have the original text below and the rewordified one above.
Okay.
So this helps the teachers to sort of adapt text basically. Thanks, Ambika.
Cool.
And English for Everyone is a website where you get lots of resources for learners at different levels. It's I remember the one you shared in a previous session.
Oxford out.
Yeah, Oxford out.
Yeah.
Like that Oxford out. And Storyboard, I'm sure many of you are familiar with. It's for students. Anyone can go and you can read stories. You can write your own stories and publish them. Earlier it was free, but now there's a 7-day trial, free trial. Okay. After that, it's a paid website. You have to pay for it. And the last one, Text Inspector, is also free. Again, you copy paste the text and it shows the level. It shows the level of each word. Actually, it completely.
I think this will be helpful for Radha.
Yeah. So for adapting text, I think Rewordify and Text Inspector. Teachers. Again, those two are for teachers. English for Everyone and Storyboard can be used by both teachers for resources and students for practicing reading. All right. So thanks very much. That's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for attending and thanks to Think Tank for giving me this opportunity. I hope it was helpful. And thanks to everyone for sharing and participating so much, interacting so much. Thank you.
I had one question, if that's
Yeah.
allowed. Yeah, so I wanted to understand, like, is it good, nowadays I see a lot of discussions of hybrid skills coming up, the term hybrid skills. So if I want to, suppose in a one-on-one class, I tried this, that in order to cultivate interest, like having been a Shakespeare fan, so I wanted my student to have interest in reading Shakespeare. So the student did not have an interest in reading, but she had a flair for writing. So I thought maybe I could give her the text in a simplified way and she could write. And in that way, she could develop reading skills. But it wasn't so successful. So, I mean, can we create interest? Can we mix two skills in order to develop one skill? And is what my question is. I mean, will that be fruitful?
Can I go ahead and give my take on this? I'm sure others also have a lot to say. So I think we should always, I mean, this thing about hybrid skills, we should have at least practice at least two skills in a class. That's my thing. Either, listening and speaking, or reading and writing, which you did, which you're trying to do. But why do you think it didn't? Why do you think it didn't?
Again, maybe as I said, I am still working on identifying the right material level. I still find it challenging. So maybe I used the wrong material for the wrong level. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe the topic was not. So did you use the original Shakespeare or
No,
simplified?
no, simplified
Shakespeare text.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe that was.
Yeah.
So probably, sorry for interrupting. So probably rather the things that Chitra has told about the text inspector and the Rewordify might actually help you a lot in adapting the text with the present tools. That
Also according to the interest of the learner.
Yes.
According to the topics which interest her. I mean, if in among Shakespearean works, there may be some topics which are more to her liking than others. So maybe doing a little more research on the learner, what do you call it? Yeah, needs analysis.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks Chitra for those very, very interesting tips. And I'm sure we'd all agree that this session has been very helpful for us. And I definitely would try the Rewordify because I have a beginner student, and also the Q prompter for another student who finds it difficult in reading. So thank you for that once again, Chitra. So next we have Nikita with the resource review. So over to Nikita.
Hey. Hi, everybody. Thank you again, Chitra. I had a really insightful. Oh, no, did I get stuck? Can you guys hear me?
No,
you're fine.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I had a really insightful session with you, Chitra, and I am going to try a lot of the things that you suggested. And in fact, I feel like she's done a lot of my job too. She's given so many resources for you guys to try out. So I'm going to be doing something a little different this time than our usual, giving you a lesson plan website or an activities website. Before I start off, I want you guys to answer some questions, which I'm going to show to you via the Zoom poll option. I'm just launching it right now. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's answered, I think.
It's only showing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so about 45% of the group, not bad. How do I project the second question? So I end this one and then do it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And this is my second question. For those of you who answered yes.
Have you got the question?
I can't see the
Oh,
second.
sorry. I didn't press the launch button.
Yeah.
Do we answer even if we answered no for the first one? Or just one?
You can if you want to, if you have explored them.
Because I now realize that I have and I answered no.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So as expected, I think teaching English is the one that everybody has got, used the most. Thank you all. These are all very, very useful blogs and websites for ESL trainers to explore. But the one that I'm going to be touching upon today is ThoughtCo. So 30% of you know what it is already. So for the other 70, my math is right? Yeah, the other 70, let me tell you what ThoughtCo is. Okay. So this is the home page of the website. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay. So ThoughtCo is a reference or an information website that is and it's completely authored by literature scholars and PhD holders. So it's a very resourceful and credible website that has lots of information about different aspects of education. So they have science, math, humanities, and languages. The one that I'm going to be focusing on today is obviously languages. So under languages, they have a wide range. I don't teach any of the others except for English. But if one of you do, please feel free to explore it and then come back with suggestions or come back with any useful tips that you did get from them. So going into the English as a second language part of it, it's further subdivided into categories specific to each part of ESL training, that is pronunciation, vocabulary, writing, etc. And also has something called resources for teachers at the end. So I'm going to take you through some of the most useful things that I have discovered from this website. Firstly, I would like to say that, reading blogs isn't just for, getting, ideas for how you can make your classes better or more interesting, or that's definitely a part of it. But I think that reading blogs like these allow you to take a step back from looking at English as your job and, admiring the language for what it is with all of its rules and exceptions and complexities. And speaking of rules and complexities, I'm going to show you one blog topic that Ambika introduced to me through ThoughtCo, which I found so interesting that now we're launching this on our social media page to share it with everybody else as well. So it's about a concept called a contronym, which is basically words that are their own opposites. So it's one word but has two different and extremely opposite meanings. For example, the word bolt. There are many examples. I'm just going to touch upon a few. Bolt means both separate by fleeing, that is to run away from something, like my dog bolted from the leash, and also hold together, like I bolted the door shut. So extremely contradicting meanings, but with the same word, which I think is probably only possible in a language like English. And we found this very interesting, and feel free to explore it in your own time. And, if you guys can think of any other ones as well, then you can share it on our TTT group, and that would be fun for everybody to know. So this is one thing that I find very useful about ThoughtCo, is that it gives you insights into the rare and unique parts of the language. Secondly, going more into the resources that you can take away from this website is that, especially for teachers who are sort of branching out on their own for the first time, and they're very used to an organization that provides them a structure which they just have to follow, but now they sort of have to do things on their own, make plans and course outlines on their own. This is something that I found very useful, is that this website offers you a syllabus outline for the intermediate level for English language teaching. And it's pretty detailed for 120-hour course with course objectives, course goals, what things you can teach and how many hours and everything that you allot to each specific skill that you have to teach the students, and with a very detailed description at the end of it. And I think that this would be really useful for people. One, like as I said, you're just looking for some sort of structure. And secondly, it's very easy to adapt a material that you already have rather than create something from scratch. So since this is the intermediate level, which is the midway point in the scale, you can always go higher or lower depending on what the level of the student you are teaching is. So this is something that I found very useful in Thoughtful. Another thing, and this is maybe for the newbies of the of this, who are in this community, have come into it new and are looking for some sort of backup to just cross-check and verify if they're doing everything right with their lesson planning. They have a format for ESL teachers for a standard lesson plan, which it breaks it down into 4 different parts and tells you what you can include in each part of your lesson plan and how do you present it to the students and how they can use things. So basically, if you haven't done something like a CELTA and you don't exactly know how to go about planning a lesson, this can be really useful for you. And one more additional benefit that you can get from this, in fact, Ambika was the one who shared this idea with me, is if you're a teacher trainer and you want to make sure that your teacher trainee has is an autonomous lesson plan maker, for the lack of a better word there, then you can just provide them with a checklist like this from this blog. And if they've done all of it, you just go tick, 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 and they've learned it and they're going to, do their lesson well. Because as we all know, having a good lesson plan is what gets your lesson through till the end. So that's another really interesting thing that's there in Thoughtful. There are other things that are there to explore in this. For example, there is a level by level pronunciation syllabus outline for what level you want to teach, what kinds of things. Like for the beginner, it's just word stress and syllable stress and everything. And as the level goes up, you teach more. But what I would like to mostly take away from thought is that how can we use it in a way that it adds value to our students. For example, if you're doing a lesson on, say, past simple, you can always, and I assure you, this website has information on every single grammar concept ever. So if you're doing a lesson on past simple, you can always just pick a blog from this that, maybe talks about the simple rules of past simple and assign it to your students as a homework reading assignment. So they are able to brush up on their grammar skills that they've covered in the class, as well as it inculcates a reading habit in them. And, it sort of combines 2 skills, rather for what you were saying, that it could be helpful. You combine 2 different skills over there and you get a wholesome learning out of it, which can be really useful for the students. I'm going to open the floor to you guys now. What other ways do you think blogs can be used to value add for students or teachers in other than just the basic ways of reading and understanding?
I would like to add here, like when I used to teach in school, this ThoughtCo was in handy, especially for class 7 and 8. Because of the blogs, we were encouraged, especially in an international school setup, we were encouraged to mix, like in the English week and all that we celebrated, to mix other subjects with English. So in that situation, blogs where here we had maths, English, and all different blogs. So material is this, but we used to connect that and prepare lesson plans related with English. So whoever is teaching young learners and all, so they can even combine the subjects related with English, prepare vocabulary and activities. So the interest, again, a needs analysis. If the child is interested in science, then related with English, with the material, a blog. So that I found very interesting to do, especially, I've not done it in online, but offline, face-to-face, it was different activities and all that.
Yeah, sounds very interesting, Radha. Thank you. I'm sure some of us are going to try that the next class we have. Anything else anybody wants to add? Any other ideas, suggestions? Yes, Sita.
Sorry, I always have something to say.
That's good.
Now, I was just thinking, if you're teaching sort of intermediate or upper intermediate and you want to teach them writing skills, then blog posts are a thing that people do today. So that's a useful writing skill or a genre to be able to write about. So then this kind of serves a 2-pronged purpose. They learn something about English, like the contronyms, but they also learn how to present in a blog post. And so that might be useful for a writing lesson.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
To add to that, as a hybrid lesson, which Radha was talking about, you can make it into a reading reading and writing lesson, right? As you said, reading vocabulary, vocabulary focus, because contronyms is, in that area. So yeah, good resource for a hybrid lesson.
Anything else?
For teachers, I feel it's a good source of knowledge in general, because now with online teaching, there is always something new that comes in every day. There's always a new tool that you can use, a better website that you can refer to. So reading these keep us, that it helps us get all the knowledge and keep up to date, if I can add that, because that's what is very important with online teaching. A lot of these tools that you discussed today, I haven't used them. So I'm going to try all of them out after this session.
That's good.
Have the ready-made syllabus. That's like heaven sent, right?
I know. Yeah.
Sometimes you're lost. You don't know how to. I wouldn't know, if someone asked me to put together syllabus for pronunciation. So that's really valuable. Very nice. Thanks for sharing. Wonderful.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions or suggestions, additions? Okay, great. Then over to you, Aparna, or back to you, Aparna. You're on mute.
Right. So I must say, Nikita, that was a wonderful review, because it's normally we always end up looking at lesson plans and material, but this is really good to take that as a material for the reading. And I think I should be saying that Chitra's reading skills and Nikita's resource have combined together, because you can use the reading skill, put it in the Q, what is that?
Prompter.
Yeah. And even for rewordify.
So complementary.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can rewordify. Today's session actually combined both together, and it was wonderful, Nikita. Thank you so much. And as always, teacher talk time cannot go on forever. So it has to come to an end. So I hand it over to Ambika for the vote of thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to Chitra Velayat, not just for this resourceful session we had, but also for being such a big support for thinking right from our initiation. Thank you so much for a really interactive and very insightful session indeed. And secondly, thank you so much, Nikita, for choosing a thoughtful resource to review. In fact, I think for us in thinking, it's been quite useful for certain course structures. And also we create a lot of Instagram content based on the thought course. So we really owe it to them for, some of the ideas that we get as well. So I hope you all find it resourceful in more than just one way. So enjoy exploring ThoughtCo. And to the person who tied the whole session together, Aparna Jayachandran, thank you so much. And thanks for accepting to moderate the session for us today. And more importantly, for helping me drive this initiative as well. Your meticulous process of ensuring the mails and the reminders and the follow-ups are sent on time definitely ties the TTT community together as well. And now to all of you lovely teachers and trainers who make literally every session of thinking filled with learning and sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we really had fun joining all of you all today. And yet again, having a very impactful session in our TTT. So that's about it for today. And that's a wrap. We'll be sharing all the details that we did via email. So you'll have all the links, so you don't have to worry about that. So till we meet again, that's a bye.
Next month.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.